Good afternoon, good people. This is Charles Evans with another Coaching for Black Men message. I've been trying to stay in the flow of doing these at least once a week. And it's funny because, as a coach, we're always trying to set accountability for the people we're coaching so that on a weekly basis or however frequently we're going to be communicating with someone, we try to make sure that there's always an assignment or something that needs to be done. And it's, as I'm a coach to people, I'm also a person that has received coaching and is still receiving coaching. And interestingly, through the process of developing the Coaching for Black Men framework, the coach that I've been working with has been encouraging me to do more of this kind of promotion. And so the agreement is to try to find ways to promote the work that I'm doing and the Coaching for Black Men framework on a weekly basis. And, at first I had this idea that I was going to do, 4 postings a week and 1 video and 1 short clip and all these kinds of things. And what I've kind of done is scaled it back to something that's more actually possible for me to do and take care of. And just as a quick word, sometimes one of the ways that we self-sabotage is that we set goals for ourselves that are not very realistic for where we are currently at that moment in time. And we do this so that way we can make sure that it's okay for us to not be successful. So I'll give you a prime example. Say if you have somebody who has never really exercised before, and they decide that they want to get into shape. So they might say, well, I'm going to go and I'm going to start doing 2-a-days all the time to work out. And this is somebody who's not really used to exercising, not really used to having the proper diet to support exercise, but they want to jump in with both feet first, and they decide that they're going to do 2-a-days to get in shape faster. When the reality is that they need more of a growth process to get to that point. It's not to say that it's unrealistic to do 2-a-days, but that's certainly not the way that you want to get started if that's the first thing that you're going to do in terms of working out. So when you do that, what you do is you self-sabotage. You're setting an unrealistic goal. And then when you have that unrealistic goal, it makes it very hard for you to be successful at it. And then in the back end, you think to yourself, well, it's all right that I didn't meet it because it was a crazy goal to begin with. And I think sometimes, like when I was first looking at doing promotion for Coaching for Black Men, that's what I was doing. So I'm also in that process of learning, and I scaled things back so that now when I'm doing these messages, I'm doing them more on a weekly basis. And so for today's message, what I was thinking a lot about was selfishness for good. Yeah, I know, like at first that sounds like a crazy idea because we're always taught that selfishness is a bad thing. But, as men, we are constantly responsible to and for others, whether that's your family, like the family that you have, your spouse, your children. Sometimes it's other people's children. Sometimes it's the community that you come from. Sometimes it's the responsibilities that you have at the work that you're doing. And there's this tendency as men for us to take on this Atlas kind of idea. And, I'm sure you all are familiar with this idea of Atlas, which is this Greek god, I believe, that has like the weight of the world on his shoulders. So he's always carrying the world, and it looks like it's pressing him down, but he's holding it up. And sometimes as men, that's what we feel like we have to do. We feel like we have to hold up the world, or our world and the worlds of others around us, because of our role as men. When the truth is that even if you do take on that responsibility, it's really not possible for you to hold up everyone's world and your own. Sometimes it's not even possible for you to hold up your own world consistently. And when we do that, when we get caught into that kind of dynamic, that's our ego making us think that everything else will fall apart if we let go, or if we take a break, or if we relax. And that puts a lot of stress and a lot of pressure on you. And what I'm suggesting in this message is that instead of doing that, what we as men also need to do, in addition to taking on those responsibilities, which are important, is we also have to find time to be selfish. And what I mean by that selfishness is we have to find time to take care of ourselves. And this is not meant to be, a radical self-care kind of message, but the truth is that you do have to take care of yourself, and you do have to take moments, take your time to find ways to recharge your own personal battery. Because if you're not doing that, the energy that you can give others is just not going to be as strong as it would be under other situations. And I found this for myself in my own life. One of the best things that helps me to recharge is to be in spaces and around people that are really inspiring to me and are really, just pushing the envelopes to make the world a better place. And I was very, very fortunate to be in a situation like that this weekend. A very close friend of mine, his son, graduated from a rites of passage program, and there's a very big event that happens for the whole community to come out and see the young men and young women who have crossed through this process. And I love going to things like that because it just recharges my personal battery to continue to do the work that I'm trying to do and continue to have a positive impact, because I see these other men and women that are putting in that effort to do that, and I see the fruit of that labor through the children that are a part of it. And the best part is that it doesn't require me to do anything. I get a chance to come and to be inspired and to be recharged. And I know that there are other situations that people use to do that. I'm sure a lot of people get that every week by going to their house of worship. I know some people can get that from maybe just taking a day and just, vegging out and not doing anything. But if you're a man who is not used to doing that, I do have a couple of suggestions, a couple of ways that you might want to think about recharging that battery. And one of the first things I'm going to give you is the idea of finding time to yourself, and finding time to be with yourself. There's a difference between being by yourself and being with yourself. Being by yourself, sometimes that has like a negative connotation to it. So you think that if you're by yourself, it means that you're alone or you're lonely. What I'm saying is that you're with yourself. And being with yourself means that you have a chance to just spend time going inward, spend time thinking about what you think about things, what you feel about things, what you might want to see in the future, reflecting back on the past of things that have gone a certain way. Maybe you wanted them to go a little differently, and now they went a different way, or thinking about a way that you'd like to see them go in the future. That with yourself time can be a recharge. It can definitely be a way for you to feel like you're just taking some time and taking a moment to be still. So that's one of the things you can do, is you can find time to yourself. Another thing that I highly recommend is finding time to be very active. Now, at first I know that might sound kind of counterintuitive to what I was saying before, because being active can feel like it's doing work. But if you're active in a different way, maybe you're active through some sort of exercise. Maybe you get on a bike and just ride the bike around your neighborhood, or go for a walk around, or go to the gym that you haven't been to in a long time, where you were doing 2 days before, but then you stopped, and go into that gym and just exercise and just go through that meditative space that comes into doing physical labor. Because one of the things that I find is that when you are doing some kind of exercise, you usually can't think or focus on anything else except what you're doing. And in that space, it's giving your mind a chance to really rest and just recharge itself, so that you can deal with the next day or the next hour's problems, right? So that's two of the things you can do. One of the things you can do, once again, is find time to be with yourself. Another thing you can do is find time to exercise, to push your body physically. The third thing that you can do is to put yourself in a situation where you're around other people that are modeling the similar types of behaviors that you want to have in yourself. And that gets back to the first thing that I was talking about. Sometimes we feel like we're the only one that's doing something. If I don't do this, it's all going to fall apart. If I don't show up today, the work environment's going to be crazy. If I don't take care of this, for this family member, it will never get done. And that's a lot of our ego talking. Our ego, makes us feel sometimes like we're more important to the grand scheme of things than we really are. And it has a tendency to make us feel like everyone else around us is incapable of taking care of themselves unless we're taking care of them. And that's just not the case. That's not the reality. And so sometimes when we put ourselves in situations when we're around other people who are doing work similar to us or doing work that we aspire to do, it can inspire us. And that inspiration is a way to recharge your battery to make sure that you then feel like you're prepared to go on and continue with your life's work and your life's plans. So, that's all I really want to say. I want these messages to be short and to the point. And, excuse the background noise. I was trying to be outside today before the weather changed over too much. So just once again, being selfish, taking care of yourself, putting yourself first is important. And it's something that you really have to do. And to the degree that you take care of yourself, you're obviously more able to take care of others and the people around you. And some of the ways you can do that is, number one, taking time to be with yourself. Number two, taking time to be physical, to exercise, to be energetic, to go outside, to walk, to move. Motion creates emotion, like they say. And the third thing you can do is put yourself around people that can inspire you, by doing work that's similar to yours or work that you want to get to do one day. So that's it for this message. This is Charles Evans once again with a Coaching for Black Men moment. Peace.